Are you buzzing about Spurs?
We're going to win the league.
You've beaten Chelsea. What's going through your head at the moment? Because you were skipping into work yesterday.
We stopped Chelsea from doing the record-breaking 14th league win on the bounce. Tottenham are now going to break that record. We're going to take it from Arsenal. We're going to win 14 on the bounce. We've got tough games coming up. Liverpool. We've got Man City away, Liverpool away, and then after that, our only real two difficult games are Man United at home and Arsenal at home. And all four of those games we could win. I think Liverpool is the away is probably the trickiest out of all of them. But yeah, we can. Like, why not? Why not?
I love it. Like everyone's so fully aware that we literally just said it, didn't we? Like the narrative based on the results. But you cannot help but getting sucked into the excitement of it.
But why wouldn't you want to?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I get things out of football that aren't based on the performances on the pitch, tactics and whatnot. Are generally not what I'm interested in. I would still get the same kind of love of the game just being with my family in the pub before the game. That's what I love about football. Yeah, the kind of cultures around it is what I find interesting.
Okay,
but
go on.
5 wins on the bounce.
Yeah,
just beating Chelsea. Honestly, Chelsea probably will still go on to the league, but why can't Tottenham give it a go?
Why not?
And that's the thing.
Okay, right. That's your excitement out a little bit. Take that hat off, please, for me.
Yeah.
Put that to one side.
Set fire to it.
Set fire to it, and then eat it. Wash it down with
hot cup of rules.
Absolutely. I heard that last week on the podcast. That was good. I'm going to ask you some questions now.
Yeah.
And I want your neutral Spurs fan. That doesn't make sense. The neutral point of view from the knowledge that you've got.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's find out the truth about Spurs.
All right.
And where they can go. So
I haven't heard any of these questions.
You haven't heard any of these questions.
No.
What have you been impressed with this season, both individually and as a whole, when it comes to Spurs?
The most impressive thing is Pochettino's willingness to adapt to situations. His openness to try more than one tactic. For so much of last year, we played a 4-2-3-1 like everyone else, which we occasionally adapted to a 3-4-3 in certain instances, depending on the opposition. So for a long time, when building the squad at Tottenham and instilling his ideologies, he was accused of not having a plan B. But now he's got a plan D.
Really?
It's his willingness to adapt. There was also a risk last year and I had this nervousness in the same way that Leicester has suffered. We were so close, and I think the psychological impact that can have on a young team Spurs are. I was a little bit conscious going into this season that we wouldn't, having had that disappointment, how easy we're going to be able to pick ourselves up. How are we going to...
In technical terms, bounce back ability.
That's right, yeah. How are we going to bounce back? And, will you be able to, will the players be up for it again? Will they be up for another fight? And yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I think that's evident.
Individually, what you've been impressed with?
Wanyama. I wasn't excited by signing Wanyama. £11 million.
I think people were so excited about Dyer and the season that he'd had that you couldn't see anyone else playing in that position.
Yeah.
He was good. He's the guy that was there. So.
I didn't see Wanyama starting. He started every game. He's played more minutes than anyone else.
Wow.
Statistically, he plays. He's more adventurous than Dyer. He makes more forward runs. He has more forward passes than Dyer. And Dyer is one of my favourite players at Tottenham. So it shows you the impact that Wanyama's had. And he does the dirty work. I know it's a cliche, and it's kind of sometimes difficult to look at players that do the dirty work and think, actually, it's easier for me to look at Alli and see that he scored 7 goals in 4 games. Or Kane's work, the game against Watford was the most complete. And this is, again, it's not biased. I mean, it is a bit biased because I see more of Tottenham than anyone else, but I'm trying not to be. But his performance against Watford, a poor Watford side, was almost complete. His range of passing, his
Kane?
Yeah.
See, I find the Kane thing, I think his stats suggest that he must be great. And you think he's great, and I trust that.
Yeah.
But every single time I've watched him, he's been crap. And not even like, I didn't really fall for him. Crap.
What do you mean crap?
His hold-up play, every time I've watched him, he gets out-muscled. He's got no real burst of pace for me. I think his movement is good and I think he's smart. but he barely kept the ball against Chelsea, against Man United. Is the other game I saw him recently. I didn't think he was great there, and I feel like I know because obviously that was an impressive result against Chelsea. Watching that, I thought who's the weak link? Kane was the weak link for me.
No, on the complete opposite to that, he wasn't the weak link. He created the space that allowed players like Alli and Eriksen to exploit that Chelsea back line. Admittedly, he didn't do much on the ball, but he was selfless in his running.
Yeah.
And
you've got to worry about him working hard, I guess.
It is hard if you only see him in isolated moments. His strongest part of his game is his finishing. You know, he's the best finisher I've seen at Tottenham for a long, long time. Since Lineker, probably.
I think that's a difficult. I found that with Charlie Austin as well, because he just scored goals. He didn't really do much else.
I'll show you against weaker teams. Harry Kane is amazing against stronger teams where there's tactics involved to cancel him out of the game. He struggles to have an impact on the game with the ball, admittedly. But you're going to get that against world-class defenders, or a world-class defence as Chelsea's have. I mean, before that game, they had the best defence in the league. Now Spurs do, but you know, if he can't influence the game on the ball, he influences it off it, and it's really important. And to say he's when you've seen he's been crap is crazy, man.
It's weird. I'm looking forward to seeing him where he's like, wow, he's different.
Watch a little highlights package if there's something on YouTube, I'm sure, of his game against Watford.
Well,
it was incredible.
Oh, right, Watford, right.
Yeah.
Okay, now, get this right as well, because I don't want an answer that's regarding last season. So this is the question. What scares you about what you have seen this season?
Nothing. There is no... I feel more comfortable this season than I did last season. Last season, I kind of fooled myself into saying Tottenham have changed, because I didn't really know they had. And at the end, you know, we did capitulate. I think what Pochettino's doing, and we did run out of steam at times towards the end of last season. We were playing that high press. We were pressing as hard as we possibly could, and as much of the time as we possibly could. This season, from what I've seen, and you know, Pochettino he's been a little bit more reserved in when and where to press. And then there's certain games that we've kind of held off. Against Chelsea and Man City, you leave it all on the pitch. Against Watford, it was clear that after 35 minutes, we didn't need to win that game. So it's about keeping stuff in the tank. I'm not really worried.
So you don't see any weaknesses in
No, there are weaknesses.
Because it's those weaknesses that will stop you from winning the league.
Yeah, so we don't have the quality on the pitch that the teams in that top four do have. So
do you mean quality? Do you mean pedigree?
Yeah. So they're quality players, but in comparison to the team that usually wins the league, there's world-class players in there. And Tottenham are a cohesive working unit, but don't have that player that will undoubtedly turn up every week. The last 5 games, admittedly, Alli has been that, you know, scoring all those goals, but you need. I'm thinking when I'm talking like this, I'm thinking of someone like Aguero. I'm talking like Hazard at Chelsea. You know, we're doing better than we should be based on that personnel.
Yeah.
Eriksen has been in amazing form, but there are players out there that you could probably buy to replace him. As he's playing now, I wouldn't replace him. Do you know what I mean? It's just the way it is with football. But I just think. And I think everybody would agree with that, is if you look at the first 11, if you compare it to the forwards, Ozil and Alexis Sanchez, you know, you would say on paper most people would take them over Alli and Kane. Man City, Aguero, David Silva, De Bruyne, all of those could be
bigger names, aren't they?
They're bigger names, you know, and they've played in that in the type of games where the pressure is intense and you have to perform. But Spurs. You know, it's the best team I've seen at Tottenham. Actually, it's the best squad and atmosphere and spirit that I've seen at Tottenham. The best 11. You know, we've had best 11s in 2011. Bale, Modric, Van der Vaart, even Adebayor in that season.
Just to say, because obviously this one's going on YouTube, but it'd be interesting to know what everyone else thinks about these exact same questions. So, what's impressed you about Spurs this season, individually and as a whole? What scares you about what you've seen this season? As in, what are the weaknesses of Spurs? Do you think that might stop them winning the league? And then coming on to my third, of 4 questions. And also, would you take Sanchez and Ozil over the Spurs front line? Probably would.
If you ask me to take my unbiased hat off.
Yeah, that's fine.
My bias hat off, and that's what I do. I mean, yeah. So there are players out there, and look, if Spurs had Ozil and Sanchez, we'd win the league. I would put money on that. And my brother's put money on Spurs winning the league before the five wins on the bounce.
Right.
25 to 1.
Really? Yeah. What makes you think you can win the league this year? As in, go that far with it. You might have a good season, but what do you think will get you there? Is there a specific thing that will get you there?
I think a world class number 10 or a forward player would get us there. Defensively, we're fine.
Okay.
We're sound.
So I guess if you don't buy that kind of player, it's your defence that could get you there.
We're not going to spend. Perhaps, yeah. We're not going to spend £60 million in the January transfer window on one player. So, it is the case of us just consolidating, working off the back of a staunch and very difficult to break down defence and midfield, and hopefully just continuing to bury our chances. Like Alli has gone from being unclinical to being the most clinical player in the league at the moment.
Yeah.
So honestly, I've said we're going to win the league. We're probably.
This is my last question.
Okay.
What will stop you from winning the league?
Well, again, yes, it's just not having those players you can rely on every week because they are that good, rather than having to rely on a cohesive unit.
Yeah.
If you're gambling on a lot of parts not going wrong, rather than having that one part is never going to go wrong. So I think realistically Tottenham will probably finish. I think third or second would be a fucking brilliant season again, and then we can really push on.
Because I guess what's exciting for you, and everyone's seen the pictures on Twitter of Pochettino in the exact same pose 6 times.
Yeah.
All these young guys who maybe don't have the status of these big names at these other clubs, they're still young, and you've signed them up, and they're there for a while now, which is great. Yeah. So in the summer, all you need is 1 or 2 guys who are going to take you to the next level, and then it gets to, instead of like really, really hoping for something, you get to a point where it's okay to expect to be top 3.
Yeah, but that's a dangerous situation. I'm not
very
sure I
dangerous.
ever want to get
Very
to that stage.
Dangerous.
I don't want to expect victory, and I think something that Tottenham Arsenal suffer from. Is they expect so much, and I don't want to expect. I love being a Spurs fan at the moment. Like that game at White Hart Lane against Chelsea this week, it wasn't just beating Chelsea. There was just the joy in the stadium.
Yeah.
I was singing songs I don't even like, with my eyes closed, arms to the sky, and it's that moment. It's those moments that you live for as a football fan, really.